So today we will be covering Azure Authentication and Authorization as we are going through Azure certification study. So these are the topics we will be covering. We will be exploring the Microsoft Identity Platform, and we will see also how we can use Microsoft Authentication Library uh, to see Microsoft IAM, Identity Access Management System. There is a very interesting feature like shared access signature. Uh, Using shared access signature, you can give some permissions to your blob, tables, files, and files. Uh, we will just talk about a little bit about Microsoft Graph, and we'll cover Microsoft Graph more in depth in next meeting. So Microsoft Authentication Identity Platform, it has this major five components. OAuth 2.0. This is a common standard if like you're trying to integrate applications with third-party authentication and authorization applications. So all of them follow OAuth 2.0 protocols, where you give your URL and you ask for some access and claims kind of thing. So we'll look into also Microsoft Authentication Library, how we can use Microsoft Authentication Library to implement authentication and authorization. So the platform also has some endpoints to facilitate the access to the resources. And Azure, there's a portal to manage everything. And there are configuration APIs and PowerShells. So we have to understand some of the concept in Microsoft IAM system. In Microsoft Identity Access Management System, you have to register. They have given a platform or service called Microsoft Entra ID. So I think it's a replacement for Microsoft Azure A2D B2C Active Directory. So they have given us some Microsoft Graph APIs also. Using Microsoft Graph APIs, we can uh, set up authentication authorization for a lot of resources on the server. So first thing I will be showing in the demo later, but we have to register an application with Microsoft IAM system. So we have option either we can set up our application for single tenant or we can set up our application for multiple tenant. So regardless of that, one application object is created. And this application object is a global application object. There will be only one instance of this application object for your application which has been registered with Microsoft IAM system and Carta ID. So what is this application object main features or functionalities? How the service can issue tokens in order to access the application, resources that application might need to the access, and what are the actions that application can take. So this is everything is happening at application object. This is you can think of root level object. Second concept we have to understand is service principal objects. So these defines the access policy and permission for the user application in the Microsoft Entra ID. This enables core features such as authentication of the user application during sign in, and authorization during resources access. So this service principal object has three objects. This application is just a placeholder for the global application object. Then you have managed identity. This is Again, managed identity is used to all for authentication for access. And legacy principal object is for old applications where there was no, uh, you didn't set up these applications for IM system for Microsoft Entrust Microsoft IM system. So as Microsoft, like Microsoft, whenever you have to set up permissions, they use OAuth 2.0. In OAuth 2.0, that every application is identified for a by URI. Like for example, Microsoft Graph. This is the URI. This is how you set up. I hope all of you have used some kind of identity management system. And once you set up once you set up your resource, then you uh, set up some permissions, like you want to say calendar read permission. So in the URI, this is additional parameters you give. So so in the Microsoft Word, like whenever you register your applications with Microsoft IM system, so user have to give consent. One is static consent. Okay, there's a application. I have my application. Uh, I I created my application. So there's a read permission, write permission, admin permission, create permission. In static user consent, you define all the permissions and then you give these permissions to the user. So this is not a ideal way. In this way, you have to give all the permissions to the user. There is a another way of giving incremental and dynamic user consent. In this way, you give minimum consent to the user. If he need more resources, then you ask him to accept the consent that he need to agree for he need to agree for more permissions. Admin consent, you define all everything the user would need. We have seen in the Azure when you were giving admin, pretty much everything is defined. He can create, destroy, create users, destroy users. So conditional access is like based on some condition, uh, Microsoft Azure gives the access. So let's go into the demo first, then it will make more sense to us. You guys can see the video, Bhuvan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So anything we have to create a resource group. We are creating our resource group here in Azure. So this is an example I am doing. So I'm going to create a new resource under this resource group, Microsoft Entra ID. This is Microsoft new IM system kind of system, uh, Microsoft Entra ID. So it didn't give me Microsoft Entra ID. So I have to select B2C. So I will give some dummy organization name, some demo, today's date, and some random number. So I am creating here Entra ID service for IM. So this is the Entra ID service. I'm looking for a place to register the service. I'm going back to resource group. Let me, I'm going back to my Entra ID. And this was a little bit I figured it out like, yeah, you have to click that open B2C TNet. Here you are going to add your application to the Entra ID. Means we are writing an application which need authentication and authorization from Azure Entra ID. So now that's the part we are going to do. So we have created Entra ID. Now next is we need to register our application with Entra ID. Let me move forward a little bit. Yeah, that's a button you need to click and you need to log in into that one. You have to enter your password for your portal once more. I entered the wrong password, so I'm entering the right password again. So here I see the app registration. Before I was searching for app registration option. So here is the app registration option. Either I can see all the application in the directory, or there's a plus button on the top, add new registration. So I'm just seeing, okay, so by default it does create uh, some application for that IM system and ID. uh, I am not interested in this one. Let me forward. So here, okay, I'm I'm clicking new registration. So here I want accounts in the organization directory only for single tenant. So I'm selecting here my application. The name I'm going to give some mm, demo, some my today's date, some number, random number. So here I'm registering my application with Microsoft Entra ID system. Here redirect URL. So since I will be creating a console application and running on my desktop, so I'm going to the example in the Microsoft certification. So that's what in the example is saying, type in http / localhost, so that it knows it need to redirect to my console application. So once you did it, two parts are very important in that: the client ID and tenant ID. So uh, I'm going to create a new console application, and this console application is already registered with the Entra ID. How it's registered it is by using client ID, tenant and ID. It's going to get the token. Okay, that I am registered with you. So here I'm copying the code program file. This is a code from the example. We need to Microsoft Identity Client package to our console application. So here I'm going towards new get package. Under browse, I'm going to find the package and install on my machine. Microsoft Identity Client. Okay. So here is the like client ID and tenant ID. These are the numbers I need to copy from the application which I have registered with Microsoft Entra ID. So, so this is my application. Here is the client ID. I'm copying the client ID from that my client profile page. And next second thing I would need is tenant ID. So I'm going to copy the tenant ID also in the code. So here is the code to get the authentication authorization contest. I'm copying from the example. And this is the scope user read. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the token from that Microsoft Entra ID. Okay. So let me run the application. So this is my console application going to Entra ID and saying, okay, this is my client ID, this is my tenant ID. As I'm running the application, you can see it is asking for me the consent that this my application is not published by Microsoft. Do I give my consent to access this to continue with this application? And here I got the token. So here I have given you the whole demo of Microsoft Identity System. I created Entra ID. Then I registered this my console application and I got the client ID, tenant ID. Then I wrote this console application, and in this console application, I installed the Microsoft Directory package, and then I gave the client ID and the tenant ID, and I got the token from the Microsoft Entra ID. So the user who's accessing, he has to give the consent. So all that authentication authorization functionality is out of the box. We didn't have to do any custom development. If you guys have worked on some identity management system, you know, like you have to implement whole thing by yourself. Here we have to do we have to do anything. So let me go to my PowerPoint. So let's go to the next demo. Here it's about shared access signature demo. A shared access signature is a signed URI that points to one or more storage resources and includes a token that contains a special set of query parameters. I mean, from the like from the certification pages, we could have gone through the theory, but let's see the demo. Then it will make more sense to us. So, so the steps are same here also. Here, let's. I'm going to create a storage account. let's create the storage account. Storage, again, I'm going to give some random number to the storage account. This storage account has blob, queue, file system. So where this can be useful, like this is like you have a blob, some file storage, and you don't want to uh, implement some centralized authentication or authorization. You just set up this permission and give access to the client. So my storage account is created. So right now I'm on my storage account page, and on the left side menu, there is a option of shared access signature. So here, shared access signature, basically we are setting up some restrictions. It gives you little bit description that w- what does it do. So here we can see what are the load services. Here we can set up what are the load services are, whether they can choose blob, file, or queue or table. We can select there. So also with resource types, I will select container and object. What are the permissions? I'm just going to give only read permission. The users, they cannot write into this one. Others one I'll default. This is the beauty of this shared permission is you can have a start and end date. So I gave this read or write permission to a client for 7 days. After 7 days, it will expire. So here's the token is generated. So when the client is calling this blob, he has to give this token, and this token has all the information, some signature, and what is the start key, end key, what are the permission. So everything is encoded into this token. So it's giving example. This is the example like if our end client wants to call our blob services, this is what he need to use. So stored access policy is another one. Like you can set up some subdivision like kind of properties. Microsoft Graph is very, very interesting. So basically they are okay. So Microsoft Graph, like they are giving us APIs. Using APIs, we can access Microsoft 365, Windows, Enterprise, Mobility plus Security. So you can set up all the users, controls. It gives you whole access to do all the setup for you. So we'll go a little bit about Microsoft Graphs in next meeting, where I'll give you some demo. So that concludes the my part. So any questions before 1 minute? Let me check the time. 8:30. So guys, any question before we move further? I
Yes, I have some questions.
Sure.
Before that, I thank you so much for having this presentation. This is actually very relevant to the existing work that I'm trying to do.
Okay.
There are certain topics that, especially that is about app registration. Um, so you were talking about how you registered one console app and you got a token right from Microsoft. Similar to that, I'm trying to do like a kind of SharePoint app registration. I
Mm-hmm.
want to connect to from SharePoint. I've already say suppose I've already created one SharePoint online app,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to connect that to Azure.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a handshake between that SharePoint online app and the Azure tenant.
Okay.
Is that the same method that I would use? Something like you had shown. Should I do an app registration going to that Azure tenant for all
Yes,
the client ID that I have from SharePoint?
yes. Like if I were you, this is how I would try. You must have some URL for your Azure SharePoint, right?
Yeah.
So that SharePoint I will register as a tenant with that enter ID, and so once user should log in, and basically I'm sure that you're gonna use your corporate Active Directory, so that person would be there on the Active Directory, and he
Mhm.
should be able to access your pages using single sign on in.
So the infrastructure team would be able to give me a token when they do this.
They should give you, basically they should set up a enter ID, and they
Mhm.
should give you a place where you can add your application, register your application with their infrastructure. They should have set up everything, Active Directory, who are the users, everything they should have set it up. Only thing you should be doing is just setting up your URL.
Okay.
So other team members, if you have something to add, feel free. Okay.
No, guys, I'm good.
Any other question, Charu?
So SAS token, you said about the shared access signature token. This
Mm-hmm.
token is specific only for getting access to the storages, right? Is it only for storages?
That is correct. That is only for storages.
Okay.
That's what, like you don't want to you don't do any setup for this client. Okay, this is my blob, you need some permission, go ahead. 1 week I'll give you permission, and
Okay.
after 1 week it will expire.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay then.
thank you very much. I will hand over to Mohan. You should be good.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Vikas, for the authentication one. So, hello all. Today I'm going to cover Azure functions with the block storage. So, last two sessions,
Mohan, do you want to turn on your video, or you don't?
I
Yeah,
will.
I'm okay if you don't.
Yeah, I will. I'm just doing that. Give me a
Okay,
minute.
okay.
It's dark. I will go to different side. Maybe. Able to see me?
Yes, a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. So last two sessions I covered Azure functions with HTTP trigger. So last time we just created a function accessing API, then we connected to the database, and today it is just simple how we are going to use the Azure functions triggering when there is any blob files are moved to the storage account. So how that going to work? Like, so what I did, I prepared one file watcher application. So the file watcher application going to watch a specific folder. If there is a file dropped in, then what will do the file watcher move the file from the location to a blob storage. Similarly, we are going to have a function, okay, on the other end, Azure function, okay, whenever is there any file dropped in the blob storage, then it will try to see what is dropped on. So I just going to show you how it is going to work. Then you can process your own ideas. Like later, how do you want to process anything like this? Just I will give a picture, overall picture, how it is going to process the image. So here is the thing, like the file already I have created. So this is, consider this your application. Okay, it's going to read a
Mohan, are
file.
you sharing something?
Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't say that. I'm going to share this. Oh my God, Sorry about that. Okay, let me share. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I thought I was sharing. Okay, how it is
I
going to
always
work?
do that.
Okay, so assume that you have application. The application, it's going to push a file or whatever it is. Basically, our application should not directly push. Like here, I created something called application file watcher. So what will happen whenever a file dropped in your folder, the file will be pushed to Azure Blob storage. Whenever a file dropped in the system, there is another thing called Azure function monitor. I just Azure function trigger, which is going to watch this storage account and it will try to pull and it will display. So you can decide what you want based on that. But right now, it is going to watch for any file is dropped in there. So for doing that, I have created an application. This is my first application. Okay, so you've been working on this file watcher. So I created a file watcher. Whenever I drop a file into the specific location, so that file is going to be pushed to a blob storage account. So what I will do, I will create a new blob storage account and I will create a container and I will show how that is going to work. So you guys see my Azure portal, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Let me create a Azure storage account. A storage account. I'm creating, already I have a lot of groups, so I'm going to use creating my existing, I'm going to use existing resource group. And inside that, I have a 324 training. I'm not going to do anything here. So next, so it is, let it be everything because it's, I'm going to use it for our blob storage account. So I'm not going to do anything here. So create. It is simply creating a storage account. So the next step is once a storage account is created, a storage account can have 4 different things. One is container, file, queue, and table. So for this demo, I'm going to use the container, which can use to store your files, images, whatever you want, unstructured data, you can call it. That's why we call blob. Well, let me go to the resource. Okay, you see everything here. So in this data store, we have 4 types: container, file share, queue, and table. So I'm going to choose container. So in the container, I'll create a container, my data store. I'm just giving a name. That's it. So it is a kind of your drive where I'm going to store my file. Okay. So what I'm going to now here. So this is my storage account. This is my container. Let me give a quick walkthrough here. So I have a file watcher. The file watcher going to watch the specific location. I created something called Sunday group, blob store activity, and temp data. It is going to monitor this folder. Whenever there is a file is placed, so it is going to call this file uploader, what do you call method. So I have to give the connection string. So what is connection string here is how do you connect from your code to this storage account. So to do that, so you have something called access keys. If you come here, a lot of things will be here. See connection string. Select the connection string. You will have basically 2 connection string. If there is one is anything went wrong, you can rotate the keys. So I'm taking the connection string from here. Connection string is pasted. So basically it is not the right way to do, but as I do demo, I'm giving here either you can store this connection string in your app settings, or you can store it in Azure Vault, any secure environment, you can store it, you can access it. Then second part is I give the connection string where my images are stored. So the images are stored in the container called data store. So the name data store. Okay. Okay, so I just gave it So it is going to create the client using the connection string, which within the container, within the storage account, which container I want to monitor. I have this. Whenever any file comes, so where it has been moved. So it is going to upload the file into the location. So let me just run this part, then I will go to Azure function. So I'm going to give, okay, start it. So let me go to this folder. Where is my, okay, so my application is started, it started up. So I go to my folder, C drive, my folder, practice. Okay, let me, why I have to go like this? I will go here. This is my monitoring folder. I'll see. So right now, the temp data is completely blank. I have few images here. Also, I want to show you that if you see here, this is my container without, there is no, because we created just now, so there is no blog items. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy my file. I'm pasting it in temp data. Okay, it says that created pspoi.png, which I just moved here. If I go back here and I refresh, yeah, file is successfully uploaded. So this is a service one. Okay, the file is moved here. Next step is I want to create a trigger to monitor. Okay, is there any file is dropped or anything? So that is what our Azure function come into this picture. So let me stop this. So are you clear here, right? This is the first part. I created my first application, which is going to push the images. So today core topic is the functions. So right click on the solutions, add new project. So I'm going to create a function. Next. So give your name, any name. So I'm going to give object monitor. On to the next. So this is where the next page you are going to select what type of trigger you're going to, what type of function you're going to use. So last time, as I mentioned, I covered this HTTP trigger. Today topic is our BLOB trigger. BLOB trigger means if there any file comes into the BLOB storage, it is going to watch it. So here you have a connection string. It is asking for connection string setting name. I'm just giving a temporary name, CONNSTR. And it is asking for the path. So which path it is going to look? Meaning path is meaning nothing but your container name. So the container name is, I'll go here, or else already I gave this here, container name. No, sorry. This is my container name. Control C. Go to my code. I remove this. That's it. Great. So don't worry about this. Click next. It basically it needs a local store. So just click next. So the function is created. Let me give the function name is anything. Get object. So any name. Object. So I'm going to define the connection string in my local settings. So the thing is, already connection strings. We gave whatever the name we gave here, supposed to be here, then looking for the exact connection string, which for the blob storage. So I created a function which is going to check the connection string what I passing here and the container name. So in order to verify this, I need to run both the projects. Where is the properties? I'm going to run starting both the things. Apply. Okay. What is that error? Oh my God. Something went wrong, I believe so. Give me a minute, sorry. Sorry about that. Something is going wrong here. So, you know. Next. Okay, don't worry about that. Connection string. I'm just going to take the connection string here. I'm pasting it. Let me run this two project. I'm running both the projects, so no changes here. So sorry guys, something going wrong in my system, it seems like. So basically what will happen, whenever you move a file here, the other side, the function will read it and it will show you that it seems like something it's recently installed. Oh, sorry. I believe it is. It's my mistake. So I'm keeping both the application side by side. So this is my file monitor. On the left hand side is a file watcher. This is my file Azure functions here. So what I'm going to do here, let me go back to my Azure storage. So I'm going to copy this. I'm dragging into the temp data. So the file is moved here immediately. So this will watch for it. Unfortunately, something going wrong here. So there was error performed by the reading operator blocks. I need to check this. Something connectivities keep on failing. So let me check that. And next time I may need some 5-10 minutes to show this. So what will happen? The Azure function keep on watching the file and it will show what file it is processed. So this is called the Azure BLOB trigger. So maybe I can fix this next time, or else I can take a video of it. Sorry about that. I couldn't able to
Mohan, is
complete.
there a double quotes in your at the end?
Uh,
At the
I
end, is there a
really,
double?
I just copied and pasted. Let me see that. Otherwise, it will throw. Really? Oh yeah. That's why I copy and paste this complete link. Let me do it once again. Control C, Control. I think so. Yep, you are right. You have good eyes. Let me move the files back. Let's see how that works. X. My first app, the processing app, watcher app, and processing app. Let me move the file one at a time to my temp data. So here it is moved successfully. What is going wrong? Oh, no, there is something wrong. The no connection could not be made. The connection could not be made because of the target mission activity. Something going wrong. So sorry about that. I will show you the next time. I'll little bit change, or I'll record it. I'll show it to you. So the process is same. Like when you move the file to your file watcher to blob service, and the trigger will read it.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mohan.
Thank you.
Mohan, you had